DLS Wave, another day, beautiful day. We're healthy, we are alive, thanks to the Most High, and we are back
Again.
All right, here we go. So Ghana, the motherland, another brouhaha. A South Sudanese man coming into Ghana thinking, all right, there was a declaration by the ex-president saying it's a free country to all African states. So he, waltzing in thinking, I'm just gonna get me there, go do what I have to do, and come back, without budgeting for paying $200 for. That's what's the problem. For what we're gonna talk about it because we like this for the visa processing fee. If it's a charge for just entrance fee, because there's such a thing. If you do a bit of dig up online, you can understand that there's a thing as entrance fee, processing fee, and stuff like that. So we're not really clear what he was charged for. But again, it's making headlines, so we have to talk about it. DLS. We've all seen the video, right? This is nothing to kind of glaze over. We've all seen the video. The guy was saying he thought it was going to come in for free. Because I think once you mention visa free, that's what everybody thinks about, right? But the point is that visa free mean charge free. Master S, let's go.
Yeah. Visa free, like you said, doesn't mean charge free. To a layman, visa free is visa free, right? But one thing sometimes I feel as a group of people we refuse to do is we don't cross-check information from the right sources just because we hear that, oh, it's visa free. Oh, then my passport, I'm a visa free holder, so I can just walk in without any knowledge on the details behind the visa free. Well, it sometimes also, I think those countries giving those information, especially Ghana, they need to emphasize on what that particular visa free means, which countries, right? We will get deeper into the conversation, and I'll list some of the countries that actually are entitled to get a visa free from Ghana.
I like your take on that. But the point is, if you say the government has to make it crystal clear that for specific countries you have to pay this much, whatever. That is why the country's got a website, their official website. So it's Master L will say, the onus lies on you to do your research and understand the territory you're trying to get into. Mr. L, is that something you would agree with, or you have a different take on it?
Yeah, I would agree that before you travel to any country outside your own country, you don't. It's a strange place. You obviously have to do your homework, know arrival procedures and all that, because every country has different policies, right? So a traveler should always do that analysis. It happened to me. There was a time I was going to travel, and then I was going to transit somewhere, and I didn't do my homework properly. I thought I could just easily transit, but then I realized I needed a transit visa, and for that reason I was sent back home from the airport, and I lost money. Never got a refund for it.
Yep.
So that was a flaw on my part. It was so annoying, but I mean, it is what it is. But I think that all in all, yes, you have to do your homework. But I also think that governments should, if there are any hidden charges, like I always say, they should always make it very clear at a place where it's easy for any traveler to find, right? I don't know if I should jump the
But that is why it is recommended that you check with the relevant embassies or consulate before you make a move. And you also have to check for maybe update on that particular information. But most of the time we tend not to do that. You understand? So it is hard to blame government, at the same time blame the individual, because there's a certain lack of information there. But Tobacco, you can continue.
Yeah, I don't really think there's a lack of information. I feel like the guy should have asked the immigration officer exactly what he's paying for, and I think they could have explained to him. So let's pick. I don't want us to kind of veer off too much and pick a different country. We're gonna talk about South Sudanese, as a people, generally speaking, right? So I double checked, and it says specifically South Sudanese citizens, right? They pay a fee for visa on arrival. So we're gonna use them like arriving in the States or Europe. So there must be an entrance fee of 50 USD or 50 euros online prior to arrival. Additionally, if you're using e-visa, there's an additional $18, no, $18.5 service fee, right? So I'm just trying to make you understand there are things that when you break them down, even though it can be visa free, but you also have to pay for certain like services and like something like entrance fee. I did not even know there's a thing as entrance fee. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So in this instance, like you said, a layman, I like the way you use that term. A layman would not know. You would just think visa free means what? You can just walk into the country without any charges. So is it too quick for people to come out and start lambasting the Ghanaian government?
It's a yes and a no, and I'll explain.
Mm-hmm.
Well, currently we know, through my research and stuff, I know in Africa there are about 24 countries that has visa free to Ghana, right? Some of them can stay longer than the other, but the reason why I said it's a yes for people to, it's because of the lack of information or the lack of awareness of what is going on. You understand? Because if the Ministry of Tourism or Ministry of educates people, come out with flyers and educate people on it, it goes online. People will, the moment you search, you find out that, okay, if I'm from this particular country heading to Ghana, I might or I will pay based off the information that our government have shared, right? I might pay this and this and this. I think it is, and the no is also on, government will say, okay, we don't have much resources to go about sharing this kind of information. Again, it lies on you as the traveler to do your proper researches, right, on the country. But the thing is, sometimes you go to our pages, web pages, and it doesn't work. You call the phone lines, nobody picks up.
Yeah,
It rings.
Yesterday, not to cut you off, but yesterday I checked the Ghana immigration website. It is so simple, straight to the point, yes, but I just couldn't find any information regarding this. And I think
that
that's
is where
something
my
like
point
this
is.
should be on the immigration website for anyone to see very easily. So that's another bummer.
Yeah, I really do understand it, but I feel like what Esse has a bit of, I mean, I understand his empathy, sympathizing with the guy, and we all agree that there has to be more educational, more like information so people can easily access it. But the point is, the government cannot do that. The government cannot go about sharing flyers and wasting, taxpayers' money on these kind of things. That's why it's all like, accumulated in one spot online, www. whatever it is, right?
No,
so
but
you go in there, you do your homework because you're the one coming into the country. It falls on you. This I
okay.
really have to kind of like
let me ask this question,
not
Leo.
put it on
Leo,
the government per se.
Leo, sorry to cut you, Tobacco.
Right,
Leo,
okay.
you visited the page, right? What information did you get there? Because I know, because I know here I have the list of African countries that can visit Ghana for free. I bet it's not on the page.
I didn't see anything about that. All I saw were different information, and also one that I remember clearly is check your status. I think when you apply for some sort of a document from the immigration, check your status, which you will need like a serial number or something to access. And there was about us. There's the regular website stuff about Ghana Immigration Service, about this, about that. But I also want to just add something that, that when you are visiting a country, if you have visa-free access, usually at your point of embarkment, the people who are checking you in, they always certify whether you have a visa or not. So if the guy was going to Ghana and he didn't have a visa from wherever, is it South Sudan or even Ethiopia, where he connected
South Sudan,
from?
South Sudan.
Yes, they wouldn't have allowed him to board if he didn't have a visa for Ghana, which tells me that all the airports are aware that Ghana is visa free to Africans. You know what I mean? And let me also I know we're talking about Ghana, but like we are saying, I think we are all kind of agreeing that the passengers should do their own homework, but the government or the destination country should also make the information somehow. They should make the information accessible to people, whether on the Ministry of Foreign Affairs website or the immigration website. And then if you look at examples that are happening around us, China is offering visa free now to many countries, right? We have friends. I had an example like a month ago. A friend came to visit. She just got in, paid nothing. I went
Yeah.
to Singapore, just got in, paid nothing. So
Mm-hmm.
when people hear visa free, they know they can just buy a ticket and go, and the immigration officer will give them maybe 15 days, 30 days. So that's why I'm saying that if there's something else that people should know, the government should make it very easy for people to access that information. Otherwise, it creates all this confusion where someone
Yes.
thinks
I
about
don't. Okay, yes, sir.
free access.
Yeah, I don't really think there is any confusion going on here, and I feel like you guys are not looking at things from like both sides of the aisle because one, there is only so much information you can pack up onto one website. You cannot put. I mean, there are some countries you can just literally go and it will list the countries that are like eligible for visa free or visa on arrival or electronic visas. They list them. But sometimes all you got to do is just Google it. You're from this country. Do I get a visa free to this other country? And then you're gonna see a lot of like sometimes even like from reviews from other people. People who travel, then they share their reviews and stuff on there. So it's one way of getting information. So it's not about just one specific monolithic way of getting information. It's like it has to be on the Ghana's what do you call it?
Website.
Yeah, I mean Ghana, what you call immigration services website, right? There are lots of ways you can ask friends, you can because you're the one going to the country. Let me finish here. Sorry, you're the one going to the country. You have to do your homework. If you go into the States, the American government does not have that, what you call it, obligation to give you every single information you need. They put what they can on the website. The rest you have to do your digging. Be asking friends, getting on group chats and asking, getting on like old school, like we say, right? We have like what you call it, old school groups on WhatsApp, right? You have to seek for the information yourself. Then again, the last thing I want to add is that I know, usually always boils down to the guy you meet behind the counter, right? They also have this. They're authorized to like use their own discretion in terms of how they decimate all these services. So somebody can tell you, okay, I was charged $120 when I was entering this country, but then somebody else might be like I was charged 150, right? Because there might be something that went on that kind of like made sense for that charge to be handed over to that person. So it's very, very difficult to say there is just one single way of getting this. The total amount for everybody should be the same because everybody's case might be different. Because we live in China, you know how it is, right? There are information online, but every time you go to the immigration, and they actually always put on their website that regardless of what you read online, what's on their national, whatever, website, it's always up to the discretion of the immigration officer. So in this case, I feel like we have this attitude of always putting all the blame on the government as opposed to us people also being responsible for certain things, right?
No,
Okay,
so
let me come in. Steven, let me come
okay,
in
you
here.
go.
I
Yeah.
beg to disagree. I think that
Yeah.
if I'm going to a country,
Mm-hmm.
the only place I can trust any information on my visit is on any government website, not from any reviews or anything.
Yeah, but you also need
That's
to understand
number
that government website has very limited information. You're not gonna
No.
get
I
every
agree,
single
I agree,
information.
but I'll prefer.
No.
to
Yes,
read
it's
it
true.
from-
Because if you go and then hold on, we've all known that okay, you get into immigration, okay, they might ask you to unpack your baggages, or they might not. There are a lot of things that go on there. And they cannot have every single thing on the website. It's impossible.
But
No,
this
but
is something about
you're
visa
jumping.
free. Wait
You
a
are,
minute, Steven. Let me come in. Let me finish.
Okay, you
Something
go, you
about
go.
visa
You
free,
go.
I think is
Yeah.
one of the most important things that should be on a website. That one, no
Website.
question.
Yeah, but it's not saying that
And
it's
also-
not saying it's not on the website. It might be there visa free, but the processing fee it changes from time to time. You traveled a lot. I've traveled a lot. Whatever you read, sometimes people have different variations of what happens, how much they paid. It depends on individual cases. That's what I'm
Listen,
saying.
it only
If
happens
you read the
on our
next comments,
continent.
right?
Listen, sorry,
Mhm.
Leo, a second.
go ahead.
It only happens on our continent. It
I
is.
don't think
It
so.
only.
I
No,
really
because-
doubt it. I really
Bec-
doubt it.
if you go to any of the European countries, or even if you come to Asia, right, and you face such a thing, then you did not do your research.
Thank you very much. You did not do your research. That's exactly
You-
what I'm saying.
and most of the time, it is on their page. I I called the Japan embassy, right, because I needed to go to and then they told me, go, okay, The person who picked the phone couldn't speak good English, so he referred me to their page. I went there. I know Ghana is not qualified, right? But then, if you're a Ghanaian, you need to meet certain whatever. I went through the requirements and I applied. So my point here is, it is the responsibility lies on the government to
Everybody
on
knows
their
that,
web
no
pages.
doubt. No doubt.
Exactly.
Okay, let's give
So-
you a classic example. I'm gonna throw it back to Mr. L. He had a very crystal clear classic example happen to him in China, right? He had a problem. I'm not gonna say what the problem is for security reasons. He had a little problem. He went to one immigration office nearby. They told him one thing, right? And then you were like, okay, I'm not gonna buy into this. You went to a different immigration center. They told you a different thing. So were you able to find this on the website? Why didn't the government put a step-by-step way or process of dealing with this problem? Because two different immigration services, same city, working for the same government, give you two different informations, right?
Yeah, this
So-
one we're talking. Yeah, this example you've given is dealing with the issue within the country. But when we're talking about international travel, you need to. There's something called International Civil Aviation Authority. Just like when Ghana had the Ghana card, right? And Dr. Bawumia said they had applied to ICAO for Ghana card to be recognized for Ghanaians to be able to fly to Ghana on the Ghana card, which was accepted. And that information is beamed to all websites and all immigrations around the world. And there are examples of Ghanaians who have been able to return home even without their passport, but just with a Ghana card. When you're talking about international travel, it's a different ball game. You really have to make sure that people can get that information easily. And that's why. And also,
But there is
if you
that
look at-
information. I'm not
let
cutting
me-
you off. And my point that I'm trying to make, I feel like we're all being too judgmental without understanding why the guy was charged that much. Because let me read something here. Basically, it says, while visa-free entry means you don't need a visa application, it doesn't guarantee entry that the entry itself will be free. Right? Some of these things are, like I said,
Is this information pertaining to Ghana, or is it a general thing that?
it's a
is-
general thing. It's a general
I
thing
think we
because
should- uh-huh.
no, you can't just stick to Ghana because we're talking about on a global scale because every country has their own. Even if you pick Ghana, right? Ghana offering visa free to African states, there will be differences in what in processes and producing based on diplomatic relations with every single country.
Okay, so when you look at
You know what I mean.
when you look at a video, right, and you read the comments, there are several people who said even if he had to pay, he was cheated because people are saying the official fee is $150 for those.
That's
who
what
are
I'm saying.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. So I
even
do
that
agree
one-
with you.
Uh-huh.
I do agree with
Yeah.
you. There are always corrupt people at with that window. But my point is that the fact that he paid, because I think the argument was more like, why did he pay? It's supposed to be visa free, or was the argument he paid too much? He should have paid 150 and not 200.
These are varied comments from the. But my personal opinion is, if you look at all major international news channels, right, it is stated clearly that the president declared that Ghana is visa free to all African Union passport holders. There was no any further information saying, but there might be. some
No, it
charge."
doesn't get
No.
get declared
So-
like that.
No.
No person
So, no, wait-
declares
wait a
something
minute.
and,
Let
and
me just
mentions
finish. Let me just
mentions
finish.
the processing fee. It doesn't happen.
In any
Yeah, just
country,
finish
the
up, but it
pres-
just doesn't happen.
The president is the law. When the president says something, it is final.
Mm-hmm.
News channel. So, for example, like you were saying earlier,
The president is not the law.
No.
The constitution is the law.
No,
There are
the
two
president is
different
the law.
things.
The
but
president is the one who
he's not the
assents
law.
to every-
He's the
he's the
father of the
president.
land, but the constitution is the law. The president falls under the same constitution. This is why presidents get impeached. This is why presidents can be taken to a court. Do you know what I mean? So it's two different things. So let's move on.
When
The
something
president is
law-
not the law.
Okay, all right. That's your personal opinion. But what I want to say,
It's not.
is
It's a fact.
if
It's a
you-
fact.
If you state for all international major news channels to pick up information to tell people that now my country is visa free to you, then it should be that. You don't tell people that my country is visa free and then when they arrive at the airport you now give the immigration officer the discretion to charge some extra money. That doesn't make any sense, like Steven said, to a lay person. For me,
The point is,
personally,
if you
I
say
think
visa free,
if
we
a
should be
country
able to
tells
break
me they're
that
giving
down.
me visa free, it should be visa free.
Mhm.
I don't come to the country.
Yeah,
and
but
then you
visa
tell me,
free
"Oh,
is not
now you have to
necessarily
pay."
charge free. Visa free is not necessarily charge free. There are two different
So-
things. There is
so
something
the guy
called
said that-
entrance fee. Entrance fee. There is a thing as processing fee. You're not being charged for the issuance of the visa.
But that's exactly what the guy said. They gave him a receipt, a visa fee
Mhm.
receipt. That's exactly
Mhm.
what he said. So my
So that's
my
it.
confusion
Uh-huh.
my confusion here is, why does the country have to say A and then someone arrives and they're doing B? That's my whole thing. So there's definitely some miscommunication or some error on the part of the government, because you're deceiving the world. You can't tell people you are
Mhm.
visa free and then when I arrive you say you are charging me some fee. If you remember, Kenya did the same thing. I think 2023, when Ruto came to power, he said Kenya is visa free to anyone in the world. But when people started traveling, they were charging them $30 at the Jomo Kenyatta Airport, and it became a big issue.
Big
People
issue,
were like,
yeah.
why didn't you include it? Because you said it's visa free to everybody. But then when people arrived at the airport, they were charging them $30. I don't know if you guys came to know about this information. So that's why I'm saying.
Well, I do
once you
understand all the
declare-
sentiments, and I get it. Yeah, but my point that I'm trying to make is that these things can change. The dynamics are so vast, because if they say $30 today, right, tomorrow, based on the forex index, whatever, it's like it might go up or down. So I don't think they can just come in and say, okay, it's visa free, but you have to pay $30, and then next week, okay, now it's $50. They can't keep changing the figures. So it's visa free. And again, let me read the last thing that I have here, and then
Before
you can
you
just
read-
take it up and wrap it
but
up.
before you
It
read,
says
a visa
there may
free-
be visa fees for entry, such as tourist cards or visas on arrival fees, even if a visa is not required. There may be fees even if a visa itself is not required. There may be. See, that's the thing. Nobody can give you a clear cut, buttoned up, summary. This is it. It has to be this way. There may be. It depends on the instance, right? There might be a hiccup at the airport. Something you had to do got delayed. You need a certain document you did not have. There may be numerous instances where things might go the other way. You might need to pay something little. I'm just saying, I don't know what really happened at the airport, but the government cannot always give you every single minute detail on every declaration they come out to give. Yes, you can take it up.
For me, visa free is visa free, but I know there may be certain costs, like for example, here maybe airport taxes. They've fast track visa services. If you get the document you talked about, maybe there are certain countries. Yes, they are able to enter, but because of security reasons, you might be asked to do certain things. But generally, visa free is visa free. I know people who come in and out of this place every single 15 days. Holland, they have 15 days, or the Netherlands, they have 15 days to come in and out of China. Some of the European countries, and
You're
none
absolutely right,
pay.
but the point is, it
Hold on,
depends on
hold
the
on,
diplomatic relations between the two countries. You cannot compare China.
Don't take the words out of my mouth. Let me finish.
I'm not taking out a mouth.
My-
Yeah, I'm listening.
No. My point here, the point I'm trying to build here is that, yes, a Sudanese can get to Ghana and might be required to pay certain fees. But you just, yourself, that you're playing the devil's advocate, you just read some fees that he might pay. Is it up to $200?
Oh, but that's a whole other discussion.
No.
We're just talking about the idea that visa free just literally means nil. You don't pay anything. For me, that is
Yes,
the only thing I'm
visa-
trying to kind of debunk. That
No.
visa
The first
free-
thing is visa free is visa free, but there may be some fees that will come depending on the country you are coming from. I get that, but the thing is, the person in question here is that the $200 they ask him to pay, with the calculation you have there, is it the right amount?
I can't say because I wasn't the immigration officer. I do not really understand the dynamics at the immigration service. right? I just don't know. Because sometimes you mentioned something that I actually kind of forgot. Like you said, maybe because of security reasons. Do you know
Yeah.
what I mean? So you just can't say these things. So sometimes also, I understand, we understand the corruption, like, on the motherland, but sometimes it's, if we don't really know the details, that's my only problem. It's like, I feel like we're too quick to judge and be like, blah 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 blah. Because once you get to digging, it's like I'm saying, they become two different things. Visa free, not necessarily meaning charge free. So there could be other taxes, itty bitty fees you have to pay. So it's kind of like a bit unfair to just say visa free means absolutely nil, nothing. You don't have to pay anything. That's exactly what
That
it
is
means.
what visa free
That
is.
that is what I disagree with. I'm
But
not
that
saying the
is what
guy
visa
is
free
200.
is. But listen, I'm repeating
No,
it.
visa free means you don't need to apply to the
No,
traditional
no, no, no,
norm,
no,
right?
hold on,
You do
hold
not
on.
need to get a
Visa
bank
free
statement, blah
is-
blah blah blah. But you just
Visa free
mentioned there
is
could be
entry.
airport tax, there could be
Hold
this
on,
tax,
hold
there
on,
could be
hold
entrance
on.
fee. You just said it
Hold on here.
yourself. You just said
Hold
it.
on. Visa free is entry free. But travelers should ensure that they meet all conditions to avoid extra cost. That is all. But visa free, the word visa free is free entry.
Yeah, free entry, but that's what I'm saying. Free entry. Nobody's saying you don't have to enter for free. But that's what I'm saying. There are things like taxes or processing fees or certain things that we do not understand.
Where
Do you know
I
what
was
mean?
putting
So
up.
you just mentioned if. Do you know? You mentioned something again. It means there might be other requirements, like you said, if you meet. But like you said, a layman might just think I can just pick up my passport and just go. Do you know what I mean, right?
So that is why I said earlier, I mentioned it earlier. I said that is why it is also important to cross-check the latest information, and that is
I
why
got you.
a
That's what I'm
country
saying.
like
We
a country like
agree.
Sudan. No. But
We
a
agree.
country like Sudan, let's say it is for security reasons. Let's say they need to pay $20, $50, $150. The countries that are required to do so, they can list them on their web page. This is not yes, because if you check, there are certain countries you meet. Okay, you don't meet. You are in the middle. It is easy to list these things. Come on, that is all I'm asking from the government, so that it doesn't bring all this
I
confusion.
think you asked
They have-
too much from the government. I mean,
Yeah,
we
I
even
mean,
shut
like,
down
if
the
you- for example,
embassy
if
in the
you're going
States,
to-
right? Ghana government.
Like Stephen was saying earlier, if you're going to say, let's say Europe, right? When you go to
Yeah.
to apply for the visa, you have every single information you need, and they will tell you if you want to stay for 2 weeks, you need 2,000 euros. If you need to buy an insurance, it's very very clear. We're talking about international travel here. You shouldn't leave any gray areas because people are going to make a big financial commitment. So maybe I don't know if the information is hiding somewhere or we are not aware. But I still believe that, or I still think that if there are any hidden fees that would be paid, it should be made known. Because actually, when you watch the guy's video, when he got off the plane and he was walking in the terminal to immigration, he said he knows that it's visa free for Africans, but he doesn't know. He will go and see, right? Which means that he's already aware that, and when he met Wadamaya was also surprised because the guy said he also didn't know that he had to pay anything, so the $200 wasn't part of his budget. So per the information, which tells us that he also did some kind of background check before
research,
coming.
yeah.
Otherwise he wouldn't have said it before he even got to immigration that he knows that he doesn't have to pay for visa. So it came to him as a shock. You know what I mean? So I think that somehow they have to get information out there because it's deceiving. On all major international news platforms, BBC, Al Jazeera, if you search, it's there categorically. But when you don't include the same, if there are any extra fees and you don't include it in the same place where these things are being published, then it's like you're deceiving people. You tell me, oh, come and eat. I come and you tell me there's no food. Then what kind of deal is that?
Yeah,
You know
if
what
you
I
say
I mean,
visa
for
free
me,
for
frankly,
Africans,
all the news outlets, the media, the usual, like you say, legacy media. I mean, they cannot wait to get dirt on Africa, so that's not new. The thing that we're talking about is why are they blasting the same thing about them charging people for visa fees without refunding their money? So what are you charging them for, right? So that's the point that I'm trying to make. Every country, every immigration, every government, they have things that they do that to the public. It's not fair, but they do not always come out to justify it. People get, what you call it? They get a bill of
But
$120, $150 for visas they do not get. So what about that? We've had that conversation before. But at the end of the day, we
Listen,
also say the same
usually
thing
You-
for
you-
processing
clearly.
fee.
They always state it clearly that if it's not
That-
refundable, whether you get it or not, it's on their website.
Yeah, but that's not about. But then again, they said it. My
It's
point is
actually
that
applied
they
or
decided
not.
to do that. It's their discretion. But you said it's not fair. So that's my point.
See.
My point that I'm trying to
No,
say
my
is that
point is,
there
they-
is
even though-
visa free.
yeah.
There could be some charges. My thing is, I always like to give people the benefit of the doubt without you understanding the dynamics. It's so easy to jump on something and say, "Oh, this is corruption. This is not." Because if he said he was given a receipt, which was an official receipt, then he needs to bring it out. Let's find out what he got charged for. If it's not, the immigration officer can be what apprehended, right? He can be sued or whatever the legal proceedings might be. That's it. You know.
I pray what?
Last words. Last words.
No, but you I told you the list of African countries that can enter Ghana for free, right? You mentioned the word. You have to Google it and whatever. It is only 24 countries. I googled 24 countries. I cannot list all the countries, but 24 countries there. How many countries are there in Africa? So for you to come out as a government, right, as a state, and say, okay, I'm giving visa free for the entire continent. Yeah, we know on the page when you Google it's 24, but now you said you've given it all, so anybody can walk in. If you know that the rest of the 20, they are not qualified, then you list them. Hey, Massa, you people, you dislike.
Yo,
This
that's the
line.
thing. I feel like you guys are oversimplifying, the way
We are
immigration
not-
works.
we are not.
You can't
Listen.
say if they say visa free, it means anybody can just walk in.
hold on,
There
hold
is
on.
something
I-
called
I
security,
sent
right?
you-
There is. Okay, I'm listening.
Don't go there. I sent you a document yesterday about China opening up for other Asian countries. They said Asian countries, ASEAN or whatever,
ASEAN.
but they've listed. Thank you. They've listed those countries in there, right? They've done it for some European countries. They've listed those countries, so the other person from another country, maybe Malta or whatever, they know. Okay, I can go to China, but it's not visa free for me. I need to come in with a visa. That is all we are trying to say here. If you know it's for the entire continent, then make it entire continent. When people research, all the African countries will pop up. They should not even put it on their page. It should be on Google. But when you check on Google, it's only 24 countries. So how do you defend that?
I'm not defending that because that's Google giving
No,
you
not
that.
you.
but
I'm saying,
No, no,
I'm saying in general, not you. But how?
No, I get it. But
how
the
would
point
I
that I'm
defend
making
that?
is that is Google, but the official declaration from the ex-president said to all African states. So you cannot take Google's word over the president's
who do you
word.
blame
So
now? So
that's what
who
I'm
do you
saying.
blame?
It's a little difficult.
But who do you blame now?
Blame for what?
The person-
Blame for
The person that had
blame
that.
for
Okay.
what? I don't understand the blame. Blame.
No,
for
who
what
do you
specific-
blame for this mess up with this Sudanese guy? Who do you blame? The guy or the state?
But do we know even if there is a mess up? That's. I don't think you understand. Do we even know if there is a mess up in the first place? I don't know.
What is
I
the
don't
mess
know.
up?
No,
He's
I'm
an
just
African.
saying, I don't know if there was a mess up or not. No, you're saying for this mess up. I'm just trying. I don't know if there was a mess up or not, because he was issued an official receipt. That's what he said. So that's what I think we need to take a look at and see if he was if he was bailed fairly or not. I think that's what the issue should be.
Okay, so if you know, if let's say the ex-president before they did it, they know that there are certain countries that will be bailed. List them. That is what I'm saying. Tell them, okay, because
But
and I
that's
use
what
the
I'm
word
saying,
security.
that we don't really know what he was bailed for.
Hold on. I use the word security. There are certain places in Africa, certain countries in Africa, they are a little bit unstable, right? So because of that reason, if a person coming from this particular country, you might face certain charges. Then they know, but you just say it open. I'll take my
I
back.
agree with
Now,
you. Like I said, I do agree with you 100%. The only point I'm trying to make is that we don't really know what it was built for. Was it specifically visa? Like, we giving you a visa for $200? I don't know. Do you know? That's what I'm saying.
That's what
that
he
we don't
said.
really have,
That's what
like,
he said clearly.
details.
He said he paid 200.
Yeah, that's what he said. That's what he said. But you haven't also heard from the immigration officer. These
don't
are some of
think
the
he'll
things
lie
that we
about
do
that. The
that I feel
reason
like.
is if you give me
But
his
you don't
words,
know the
think
guy.
about
The
it.
guy is not your brother. He's not a family member. You just saying you don't think he's gonna lie about that. If the immigration officer speaks, do you think he's gonna lie about that? Yes or no? If the immigration officer
Yeah,
comes out today and
for
says, "Oh,
me,
we charged him because of this, this, this,
yeah.
this," and it's all legal, then what happens?
For me, I'll just put in my last word. I think Ghana is my country, and I'll be happy any day if we are making any extra money. But what I don't like is for uh, lawmakers to promulgate a law and signed by the president and altered by the president for the whole world to hear without any other, how do you call it, hidden information.
It was fanfooling. It was fanfooling.
And then people start to access it, and then you arrive at the airport and you are then asked to pay a visa fee. For me, I just feel like it's kind of like deceiving people. But yeah, let's wait to see how this goes. But I just feel like it's just unfair.
When you do a quick research, yeah, on countries that are supposed to or that are visa free to Ghana, it's listed: Benin, 90 days, Nigeria, NA, some 30
West
days.
Africa, yeah,
Yes,
ECOWAS.
yes, yeah, some Tanzania, 3 months. These are information that are here for the 24. What about the 20, the other 20 who wants to come in? So for me, okay, not everything, but they should find a way to give proper information. That is all I'm saying.
That I
So
agree
if you're
with.
taking my money, I will
Information,
not
that I
come.
agree, absolutely.
Yes, I will not come in and complain, or I will not stand on camera, come on camera, and then start.
If
That's
it's
the
top
thing.
at you, yeah,
No,
like I
that's
said,
the
I
thing.
do really agree with the people, but I feel like you don't really get my point. But the point that I'm saying is that it's very clear. We've traveled, some. I'm not saying we're like so travel, but we've all traveled, and sometimes we get. We all get kind of like pissed off every now and then at different airports with different immigration based on different things, right? So that's my point, that there was going to be these little things that you have no idea about. And my point, they cannot put everything on the website. So this instance, that's the point I'm trying to make. The visa free, we get that part visa free. But there's also a thing called other taxes, other processing fees, entrance fees that we don't know about. So my point is that we have to understand literally the very reason why he was issued this. If it's wrong, then we have a case. Right, but like I feel like, to be fair, we have to hear from both sides. I don't know if you guys disagree with that, but we've heard from one guy. Absolutely, like we all understand it's not fair, but we need to also understand that the other side might have a reason for what they did. It's all I'm saying. We cannot be quick to just judge and say, "Oh, they're absolutely wrong," without really knowing what came from their part. I don't know if that makes sense. That's what I'm about to say.
No,
I know Mr. S is
we can-
just getting ready to just go.
No, we can, no. We can judge based on the information that was given to the public, and that is what I back what Mr. Leo was saying, that our president gave an open information. It was reported all over the
State
place.
of a Nation address in Parliament.
Thank
There
you.
can be nothing
Thank
more
you.
convincing than that.
But nobody
Thank you.
said it's not true, and nobody said it's not happening. There are Africans trooping into the
But they are
country.
doing contrary
It's
to
visa
what the
free.
president said. That's the whole problem here.
What did the
Yes.
president
What the
say?
president
What
said.
did the president say? Hold on. What
The
did the
president
president say?
declared to the world that AU countries, as long as you have an African passport, you can
You
enter
can do what?
Ghana visa free. Visa
Thank you
free.
very much. Okay, let's get to the question. Did he say all AU countries can come to Ghana charge free? Thank you. I
Visa
read
free means
I
visa.
don't think any
Visa free doesn't
means-
mean
oh,
charge free.
God.
When you
Guys,
enter
can
any
you
country,
go
don't
online
pay
and do
charges. You
some
pay visa
research?
free,
Do
no
some
charges.
research. Do some
Which country
research.
you
Yeah,
go, they
but
charge you
visa free
charges
doesn't mean
beside a
charge
visa.
free.
I
No,
don't know,
but
maybe-
that's
maybe
what
you
I'm
have to
saying,
tell me,
that
because I don't know any country where you have a visa, you arrive and they let you pay extra charges. I've not seen any country like
no,
that.
you don't have a visa. It's
Because
visa
when
free
you-
means you don't
because-
have a visa. No, you say you
because
don't know
when
any
you-
country that when you have a visa. No. Let's go back. You say you don't know any country that when you have a visa, they let you pay extra charges. That's not visa free. You have a visa. That's not visa free. So we're talking about visa free. It's a different thing. So the
No,
point that I'm making
no,
is
we're
that
talking about-
because it's
Stephen, let me tell you. Look,
let me
you
read
don't-
this.
Don't
Let
also
me read
forget-
this.
Stephen, like 1 minute.
Let me-
Don't
quick-
also
quick-
forget
quick
that
line,
when you buy
quick
a
line.
flight ticket, the flight ticket, you pay for the plane itself, the seat, you pay fuel surcharges, you pay airport tax, you pay all these things. So I don't know what
Yeah.
extra fees they will have to charge a passenger.
You don't have to know, but this is something that is very basic. If you go to Google, everywhere you go, they will tell you the same thing. Being visa free does not mean that it's impossible to get other charges. There are, like they say, tourism fees, entrance fee. This is not something I'm coming up with. And you can't tell me, oh, how many countries are in the world globally? Everywhere you go, visa free means you just walk in, you don't pay anything. I mean, let's look at the countries that we all admire, the States, Europe, whatever. There are some little fees you get to pay, even though it's visa free for your, what you call it, your block. So it doesn't necessarily mean that you're paying for the visa. No, it's visa free. You can go in. But you also need to understand that the country needs to generate revenue to support certain things, right? Like the airports, the what do you call it? The immigration officers. So that usually there are little fees you have to pay. Whether it's $200, that's the question. Maybe it was too much. But visa free does not mean charge free. You're not paying for the visa. Guys, that's my point. I'm not saying you're paying for the visa. No, there could be other taxes, clearly it's online. Let's do a bit of reading and let's stop saying you can just pick up your passport and waltz in there. Then why do they need the immigration officers? Just walk in there. Open the borders, just waltz in. Why should the officers be there in the first place? Because there are protocols, there are processes, there are things.
All those things are already included in your ticket price. When you look at a ticket price, all those things are listed.
But I don't really remember also the
You
president of the country saying that. I don't think the president also said that. If we're talking
Okay,
about like,
you
detail.
You can find it online.
No,
It's
if you're
last
saying
year
the
on
president
January-
said
on
that
January-
he declared that countries of AU, whatever block, they offer free. But he wasn't also specific that because you've paid everything in your flight tickets, you pay no charges. See, that's what I'm saying. We cannot be that literal. He said that.
I don't have anything else.
Exactly, but you can't say that because he said that literally. That's the end of it. Nobody can come up with anything about because
I can
once
even
he
go
said
beyond
that,
that.
that is the base. That is the base, visa free. But behind that, there are policies, there are protocols, there are processes that fall under that declaration, and we know that.
Listen, for me,
Thank you.
if okay, he needs to come out. Maybe the guy needs to come out and clarify.
No, I think it's actually
what
the
he was-
immigration services that need to come out. I think
Both
they
of
are the
them.
ones
He needs
trying
to bring the
come
receipt out.
right?
For me, I think he needs to bring, because for me, like I said earlier, I understand tobacco a little bit where you are coming from. That there might be charges somewhere. It depends on the for me. It depends on the country. Where
That's
my
one part.
argument is coming from. Yes, that's one part. But the thing is, there are other, let's say, travel insurance, accommodation proof, and all these things, right? Maybe you don't meet those requirements. It might come with a cost. So I do get all that, but visa free, as in the word visa free, is visa free. That is why I keep saying
he was not charged for a visa.
Yes, so
He
that is
didn't
why
give him
That's what he said.
He said
That's
he
what
was
he
for a
said. Do you
visa.
have evidence? Do you have evidence for that? That's what he said. Okay, if I'm saying, I'm
just
telling you,
watch
hey,
the video,
S
if
told
you
me
watch
that
the
he's
video-
gonna. I don't understand
Maybe-
why now. It's like we've all been told multiple times. Be careful what you hear, what you read online. Do not believe everything.
No,
So until we hear
he's-
the other side of the story, I'm not saying he's a liar, but I'm just saying we need to hear from the immigration service because all these guys are big guys, so they kind of calling them out, right? So the immigration service should come give us a clear statement as to why the guy was charged this bill. Then we can have a conversation.
And also try to explain to those other countries that may not qualify for that
That's
visa
a
free
good
where
point.
they
But
might
the
be-
guy also, I
That
feel
is-
like he should have told us what did the immigration officer, tell him that he was charging him $200 for. That is what I wanted to know. He should have come up with that. What did the guy say he was charging him for?
There is one problem we have as Africans. We don't like asking questions. But then we have another problem where authority will be easily used against you if you try to ask questions. So
Yeah, I
it
think that
it
is
is
everywhere,
it is very difficult. You understand? For me, I know that there are 24 countries that are supposed to enter Ghana for free. Maybe some of them do pay charges. I don't know. But if you know the rest of the 20, some of them are not qualified based on whatever reason, the country, security reasons or whatever. Just put it somewhere. Alert. If you go to certain web pages, countries, right, on there, they let you know. Some of these countries,
when you
yeah,
say that,
they're
though,
not
I
qualified.
kind of disagree with you. I think this podcast is getting too long, but I disagree because I'm yet to see any African state that has its people coming into Ghana and they were turned back. So, like I said, the president declared crystal clear for all African states. I haven't heard any African trying to come in and they were rejected.
No,
So,
I've not said
24
I've
being
not-
on
I've not
Google.
said-
No, I know, but I first like you saying 24 by the other 20. I don't think there's a other 20 and there's 24. I think he said for the whole African region. So I have not really heard anything about any African country trying to
Based
get
on
into
my
Ghana.
research, based on my research, it is only 24 I have here.
Yeah, but it's not
Maybe-
on the official
Hold-
Ghana government website.
No, because it is not there. That is so. So now you are
Yeah,
coming
it's
back
not
to the
there,
point.
but the
you're trying
president
to-
says
Hold on.
it's.
Now you're trying to no. You are coming back to the point I was trying to make earlier. That if a country like Ghana says, "Okay, I'm a visa-free country for Africans," if they feel like there is security reason or any other reason, a particular country cannot fall under that category, they should put it on their page. So when somebody is searching for it, I know my country. I'm from Burundi or somewhere. I might not be able to enter. I need to apply
I
for
understand
visa.
your point, but I don't think it's necessary because they haven't singled any country out. The president said for all African states, and that was it. So it depends on the source where you get that information from. It's not the Ghana government official website. So
2025. You can
yeah, I
2025.
understand, but I mean,
It's
what
2025.
source is that information coming from? Because the the president clearly said for all African states, and to date, there has not been any word about any African, coming from a different country to Ghana that's been rejected. It would have been like, just like this case, it would have been really loud, and we could have heard about it. So I don't think I mean, I understand that you found it, but we don't really know if it's like a legitimate source. All right, let's wrap it up here. We're gonna be talking about the DLS. Leave it in the comment section. Do you think visa free necessarily means no charges, absolutely nil, passport waltz into a country, or you think they're two different things? Let's know your comments, your ideas, your thoughts, everything in the comment section. See you on the next one.